What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be doing our 2025 NFL predictions. So the season starts today, actually, which I'm super excited about, and let's get to it. So to kick off our awards, I have Abdul Carter from the New York Giants winning the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, Abdul Carter is someone who really shot up in the college football playoffs with Penn State, and so I'm really excited to see how he produces this year at the New York Giants. And the Giants just have a really good defensive line now with Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeaux, who probably won't play that much now that they have Abdul Carter and Quentin Williams, but I'm excited to see how he performs in the NFL, but I have really high expectations. I think he wins the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Now for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, I have Tedero McMillan from the Carolina Panthers, rookie out of Arizona, and so I think that him and Bryce Young will have a really strong connection out the gate, especially with the Panthers' absence of Jalen Coker and Trey Down Thielen. He's kind of the main guy there, so I'm excited to see how he produces and have high expectations for him and Bryce. Now for the Comeback Player of the Year, I have Aiden Hutchinson winning this award. Last year he had an injury which took him out at the end of the season, which really hurt the Lions. They ended up making it to the conference championship despite having countless of starters injured. But I think he comes back this year and is one of the top defensive players in the NFL, because when fully healthy, he is. And he was taken, with I think the number 2 overall pick. Yeah, he was number 2 overall pick for a reason. And so I'm excited to see him this year and have him winning the Comeback Player of the Year award. For the Coach of the Year award, I have Sean McVay from the Rams winning this award. I think that they completely rebuilt this team in a matter of like a year or two after winning the Super Bowl, and I think that if Matthew Stafford can stay fully healthy, that they're a legit threat, and I think that he ends up winning this award because of them just having a really good season. And so I think it all boils down to Matthew Stafford's back, but if he's healthy, then I fully expect him to just be a really good, well, regardless, he's a really good coach, but the Rams are a really good team, and have him winning this award. Now for our Defensive Player of the Year, I have Micah Parsons, who was recently traded from the Cowboys to the Packers for 2 first-round picks and a defensive player. Now, I have Micah Parsons winning this award because, he's probably one of the top 5 defensive players in the NFL. Probably most people would argue top 3, if not top 1. And so I think it's crazy that a player like this was even traded, let alone to a team that is now contending with their current defensive line of Luke Van Ness and then Rashawn Gary there. I think that the Packers' window is now. They went all in this offseason, obviously, with this trade, and now they have Matthew Golden, the rookie wide receiver, and Jordan Love, who I think will have a pretty strong connection as well. High expectations for the Packers and Micah Parsons to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. Now for the Offensive Player of the Year, I have Ja'Marr Chase, who won the Triple Crown last year. The Bengals didn't have a good season, but Ja'Marr Chase had a great season. And, I expect the Bengals to have a better season this year, but him as an individual to still have an amazing season. This offseason, they were able to sign him to a long-term deal, and I think, you pay him that much money because he has that much of an impact on the field. So I have him winning the Offensive Player of the Year award. And then for our NFL MVP, I have Josh Allen winning this award. I think that last year was not a fluke. Every year he continues to get better and better. And I expect him to have just as good of a season, if not better, this year. I think that the Bills will be really good, and especially as each year this year he still has Joe Brady as his offensive coordinator, and just have really high expectations, and I predict him to win the MVP. Now for our playoff predictions, we're going to start off with our wild card teams. So for our wild card teams, we have the Bengals, the Chargers, and the Jags all in the AFC. Now the Bengals, like I mentioned earlier, they're able to sign Ja'Marr Chase to a long-term deal, and they also got T. Higgins to a long-term deal, signed Trey Hendrickson to a one-year deal, and they recently just got Dalton Reisner too, to a one-year deal at guard. And so I think, despite just the poorly ran offseason it was, they did what they needed to do. They have Jonathan Stewart now as well. He got signed finally, and so it wasn't ideal, but they got done what they needed to get done. And so the Bengals, I have them winning the wild card, just missing out on their division, but still in a good division. So that makes sense. Kind of like our next team, the Chargers, in a really good division. But I think the Chargers are a team who will continue to get better and better each year. With Harbaugh at coach, I think he's a guy who wants to run the ball, and they have the rookie now, Orion Hampton, to do just that. And they have a really good running back committee too, with Najee Harris and J.K. Dobbins, and so J.K. I don't know. Anyways, they have a really good running back committee, and I expect Ladd and Justin Herbert to continue to get better, and each year, like I said, just continue to improve, and this year, no exception to that. Then our last AFC wildcard team is the Jags. Now Jaguars went all in this offseason in the draft, trading 2 first-round picks for Travis Hunter, and you get a guy like that because he is an impact player, and he is a difference maker and a locker room guy who just kind of raises the bar at what it means to be a football player. So I think because of that, I think Brian Thomas Jr. has a really good sophomore year and continues to improve. Last year he was, you could argue he's the best wide receiver rookie. And this year I think he has everything in front of him to be one of the best wide receivers in football. So I predict that the Jags will be the last AFC team that makes the playoffs. And then for our NFC teams, I have the Lions winning the top, wild card spot, if you will. The Lions are just in a really hard division, arguably the best division in football. And so, with when you consider their team as a whole, they lost their 2 coordinators, but they didn't really lose any players, and I think that's very significant. So I think that the Lions, despite that, will still be a really good football team this year, and I have them still making the playoffs. Then I have the Commanders. Now the Commanders are a really old team. I think they weren't expecting to be as good as they were, as quick as they were, and so because of that, they kind of had to overpay on some veterans or get some old guys who used to be really good. And so I think if they can stay healthy, that they have a really good chance of making the playoffs again and going on a run. Jane Daniels played phenomenal last year. Frankie Louvu was a really good addition in the offseason, and they have Bobby Wagner as well, and Zach Ertz, but all those guys are, like I said, older. So I think it really depends on if they can stay healthy or not. And then also have the Buccaneers making the wild card as well. I think that Baker continues to get better each year, and I think that John Lynch is one of the best GMs in football. I think that Todd Bowles is a really good defensive coach as well, and so they have a really good front office who keeps them in contention every year. And so with that, they have a really good receiver room, and I really like their rookie, Akabuka, out of Ohio State. And so, predict them to make the playoffs as well. So for our division winners, I have in the AFC, the Ravens winning the AFC North. Now, this division is, in my opinion, between them and the Bengals, but I think that the Ravens are just a really well-rounded football team. They have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, who, talk about a duo right there. As long as Derrick Henry's healthy, which that guy doesn't age for some reason, so no reason to think he would fall off now, right? And then they also just have a really good defense. They've got Kyle Hamilton, who's the best safety in football. They've got just a ton of depth in their secondary and defensive line as well. And so, I think that they are win their division, but that's not where they hope to go. They're a team who would win the Super Bowl and no one would be surprised. And then, same with this next team in the AFC East. I have the Bills winning. These two teams battled to go to the AFC Championship, and I think either one of these teams could go to the Super Bowl. The Bills, like I say, just continue to get better and better each year, and with Josh Allen winning the MVP this season, in my prediction, I think that they win this division pretty easily. The biggest threat is maybe the Dolphins, but the Patriots are a young team. Miami is kind of a mess, and then the Jets are in the midst of rebuilding as well, and so I predict the Bills to win the division. And then for the AFC South, this is I think it'll be a fun division. I think it'll ultimately be better than people expect, but that said, I have the Texans winning it. I think that with CJ Stroud, I think he has a really good comeback year this season. I think that he, with Nico Collins, hopefully for a full season, will do better than everyone predicts. He was one of the guys who I targeted in nearly all my fantasy drafts, and so I think that the Texans will do really good. And also, Will Anderson's a guy who could be really, really good. I almost picked him for my defensive player of the year, especially with their coach being defensive minded. I think that, man, they're just in a position, especially with DeMeco Ryans, like I said, to just have a really good defense and ultimately just a really good team. And then for the AFC West, I have the Chiefs winning. Now this, I think this division is way better than people expect. I think that the Chiefs won't win it as easily as everyone would assume, but that said, that the Chiefs are the team to beat in that division. And so, I usually don't, you usually don't win the bet when you bet against Mahomes and the Chiefs, and so I'm just gonna go with them as my division winner. And then the NFC North, I have the Packers winning. For me, the Micah Parsons trade really put them over the Lions for this division, but it's just a really good division too. The Bears are probably the worst team there, but who knows what they could be really good and no one would be shocked. They could also suck and no one would be surprised either. But I think the Packers, with the Micah Parsons trade and their window kind of opened, and they probably have their eyes on the Super Bowl. That's when you trade 2 first-round picks for a player, that's kind of what you expect. And then the NFC East is the Eagles. I think they win this division. They're the team to beat in the NFL. They just won the Super Bowl, and I don't think it was a fluke. They have the best roster in football. They have, fill in the blank, top 10 player at every position. Probably top 5. So, team to beat in the NFC, but I have them winning the NFC East. And then for the NFC South, I actually have the Panthers winning the division, which is me being a biased Panthers fan, but I have them winning because, at the end of the year, Bryce Young really took a next step. And so if he can, him and Dave Canales can really continue to improve and build off of the momentum they had last year, I think that winning the division wouldn't be crazy for them to do. And I think this is one of the easier divisions in football. The Falcons, I think O-line will be a struggle for them, which can kind of tear apart the offense. And, Raheem Morris is just kind of, I don't know. He could be good, but he could also be bad. And Michael Penix is coming off of, a rookie year. He kind of played half the year, so maybe a redshirt year. But, they could be really good. Bijan Robinson's really good. And then, the Bucs, like I said, are a wild card team, so I think the Panthers beat the Bucs, and the Saints probably are the worst team in football. So, that said, the Panthers also get Derek Brown back, which is huge because he's top 5 defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman in football, and they also got 2 edge rookies. But most people had a first and second round grade on them. With the addition of Terrell McMillan as well, I have high expectations for this team this year. And then for the NFC West, like I said earlier, if Matthew Stafford's healthy, I think this is a team to beat. I think that they have a really good offense, but also have a really good defensive line and defense in general. And I just ultimately think they come ahead in the division. And now for my Super Bowl prediction, I have the Lions versus the Bills, and I think this is the team to beat. These both were the teams to beat last year in football. The Lions, they, like I mentioned earlier, they don't lose any key players, but they actually gain Aiden Hutchinson back, which is huge for the team. I think Dan Campbell is just a really good head coach who's biting off kneecaps and kicking butt and taking names. And so I think that, yeah, they just continue to improve off of everything last year, but hopefully without the injuries, could make it to the Super Bowl. That's my prediction for them. Really high on this team. And then so the Bills are a team that lost the AFC Championship. Well, they pretty much lose every year to Mahomes. But I think this is their year to make it to the Super Bowl. And with that, I have them actually winning it as well. So I think that they beat the Lions in the Super Bowl. That is my official prediction. I think that both of these teams, are going to be really dominant this year. And so that's my NFL predictions. I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know if you did agree, disagree, where I'm being biased at or wrong. But this is my prediction, and I look forward to the season, which starts today, which I'm super pumped about. And thanks for tuning along. I'll see you guys next video.